Yep.
I just want to say welcome everybody to our third episode of Cringe and Binge, the podcast where we will dissect and talk about episodes and series and certain things from different TV shows, movies, and things that we're watching right now. Today we're going to be talking about the third episode of The Witcher, episode 3. Well, you're here with us, your hosts, Fred and Kendall.
And I'm Kendall.
And Kendall.
Yeet.
Yep. So, Kendall, take it away. What do you think of episode 3?
Well, I thought episode 3 was great. Not a lot of new characters get introduced on this one. The only real new character we see is King Foltest, the King of Temeria, and Triss Merigold.
Yes. Triss Merigold. A little different from the video games, but still nice. I did feel she was very, very light introduction, if you would.
Yeah, honestly, the first time I watched the series, I didn't even know that was Triss because she is completely unrecognizable if you've ever played the game. She looks nothing like Triss in the games at all, whatsoever.
Completely different. Which is okay. I'm okay with that. I mean, I would have preferred it to be the same, but hey, look, everybody makes their changes, and nothing against this actress or anything like that or anybody, but it's just, you're so used to this one thing. But I did miss that at first, because we start off with the episode with Geralt. We start off the episode with another Witcher. He's taking a job, thinking he's gonna slaughter a werewolf. Goes, and then he gets killed, right? So
quite easily and quickly too. It was just kind of like he's walking through like a meat locker, and then all of a sudden it's just bam, dead.
Right, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I wanted to see him do a little bit more. I mean, he is a Witcher, right? Maybe a little bit more action, but I get it. In and out, quick status. So our man's gone. And townfolk think that the Witcher ran off with the money.
Yep.
And then, but right before that, we move on to the best scene. We see our boy Geralt sleeping with what would be a woman of the night, if you would, I guess you could say.
For apparently 3 nights.
He's a passionate man.
Very
passionate.
But it's not like he's there for no reason besides, letting off some steam.
Right.
That's where he originally heard about the Witcher who supposedly ran off with the money from the contract in Temeria.
Yeah.
So after getting kicked out because, people don't like Witchers, even though they need them, he goes outside and then decides, you know what, he's going to go to Temeria just because this is going to cause like a big stain on his line of work.
Yeah.
So he tries to ask nicely at first, and then the guy who owns the establishment, yes, we'll just call it the establishment.
The establishment.
It's like, I'm not afraid of you, and then he gets all point me in the direction and gets in his face, and then all of a sudden he's just like, okay, right that way.
Yeah.
So it's like Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, I know. Trying to be the tough guy.
I love how everyone's like at first is like tries to act like a tough guy against them, and then all of a sudden, like 2 seconds later, they're like, all right, I'm sorry.
I guess I wasn't as tough as I thought,
Yeah.
But and then you get this cool scene with Yennefer getting busy in front of people. Now, when I saw that, I swear I really thought they were doing it in front of people.
Nah, it was just spirits that she conjured.
Oh yeah, but I didn't think that was it. I'm like, man, this girl is a freak.
Oh yeah, she's a freak. She has quite the power fetish.
Yeah, man. Now this episode does break down the 2 stories where we're gonna see Geralt and we see Yennefer. I feel Geralt's story is still like a continuation of the typical hero that he is. As we see it. But Yennefer's story is a lot different, man. I feel like you see her like take charge, want more power, but at the same time, you feel like you see her unravel a little bit.
Yeah, after the end of the last episode
Yeah.
and everything, she seems to have a lot more confidence in
Mm-hmm.
herself, and because of that, she's able to take control of her power a lot better,
Yeah.
and make strides and get Yennefer pretty
Yeah,
much.
exactly.
To just put it, is like she's actually like turning into the Yennefer that we know. So
Yes. And then, so we'll just continue on her storyline right now before we jump back to Geralt, just to finish one and the other, because we're still doing the whole bounce back from one to the other, to back and forth, and that's kind of like it ends up getting a little confusing. So I think we're gonna try to streamline one and then streamline the other, and then you guys can break it down when you guys watch the episode. You'll see what we're talking about. But let's continue with the Yennefer one because that one was pretty interesting. So they start talking about like where people are gonna go, right? To uh, where the witches can go to the different kings and stuff like that, right? And she wants to go to a specific one, if I remember correctly.
mm-hmm.
But because she looks like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, they kind of ain't feeling it. And he also doesn't like elves, right?
Yep.
And it just so happens that she's part elf.
Yep.
So that really kind of drops her candidacy. But that's what I'm saying. Like like you said, where she has her own for strength. She's very determined to be like, no, this is where I want to go.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to go with. Now, she ends up having to get some. Well, it's like what, some type of magical surgery where they end up making you into the perfect person. I guess the best person you could be. In theory, like the way you want to see yourself, because he pretty much can design you any way you want. Almost, it seems like. But you have to give up. You have to sacrifice something in return. Like they always said, just like the flower. You can't get something in return without giving something up.
Yep.
And so she decides to give up the one thing that I guess would make her a mother. That's the easiest way to say. She gives up.
Yep.
She gives up basically her womb to make herself gorgeous. Now, mind you, she looks great compared to how she was before. I thought that was cool. That she took the power into her hands, and she decided her own fate by saying like, "Look, this is what I'm going to give up. This is what I'm going to do, because this is what I want to be."
Mm-hmm.
So like you really see you really see her empowerment through the episode.
Yep,
Really
but the thing is like even before that point or whatever, she ends up doing it while she's awake instead of asleep.
That seems crazy too. That seems crazy because she's just like, do it, and you can just see her scream, and you can see the pain in her face.
Yep, and then the fire is going crazy in the room. All the shit's shifting around.
Yeah, man. And then she just comes out at the end of it like a good looking woman.
Mm-hmm.
So that was wild. That one. I feel like this episode really ends up. How can I put it? Really ends up putting her in like, it starts to show her kind of conniving side too. Kind of like she'll do whatever she wants for her own means, because that's when she takes that spot away from that other girl. What was the other witch's name? Fringilla. Yeah, and that I feel like this whole thing starts to set in motion. Like the events that are gonna keep going through the. Obviously, we don't want to skip ahead, but it starts to set in motion some events for the future.
Yep.
With this one action of her getting the king that she wanted, and then from there, we proceed to go to our boy. Let's switch over, because I mean that's the pretty much most exciting part of that. We'll switch over to Geralt because that's where it gets real interesting, right?
Yep.
He goes to check out what's going on, and that's where we meet Triss Marigold.
Mm-hmm.
He shows him the body because she goes, obviously everybody thinks it's a werewolf, and he proceeds to investigate, and through his detective work, by sticking his hand in the other Witcher to feel what's going on the inside, what's missing, he realizes it's a Strega.
Mm-hmm. Because the corpse was only missing his heart and his liver.
Yeah, and he even says like they're he's like, oh, it's a particular way of doing things. Uh, so then he goes, all right, formulates his plan, goes talks to the king, right,
Mm-hmm.
to ask him what the hell's going on or what happened, kind of get the story, and the king's mad negative about it. Doesn't want to kind of doesn't want to explain what's going on, really tell him what the dealio is. And then he gets that one scene where he goes, all right, cool, let's leave. Gets everybody to go outside, locks the doors, and then he gets in his thing with the king.
Yep.
To get his mad info out.
Because he kind of already figured that, the Striga was a princess, Ada's daughter, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, he figures all this out before actually getting brought to full test in the dining hall. So then he goes in there, he's just like, you know what? You can call her whatever the hell you want. Call her a unicorn, but...
Yeah, but it is what it is. And that's always what I like about Geralt. Always straight to the point, always knows what's up. But seems like he's always looking out for the best for everybody. And then he proceeds to go, all right, kind of figures out what's kind of going on. And then we move on to, he's going to go to that castle at night, right?
Yep.
He's going to go and he's like, all right, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to get your daughter back. Because at first the king's denying that it's his kid. Doesn't want to acknowledge it, doesn't want anything. But there he goes, can you get my daughter back? And you kind of see like a shift in his tone and his change. And then Geralt's kind of like, all right, I got this. So it's him, Triss, right, and they get the full tied up. And then he ties it. He ties the guy up, has him as bait. And then he turns out to get, right? He has him spill the beans first.
Yeah, he didn't really actually have him as bait. He wanted him there because he wanted to know how he needed to undo the curse. And in order to know how to undo the curse, he had to know how he had done the curse in the first place.
Yeah.
So he was saying like, all right, well, you know what? The Striga is going to be coming in here soon because, that was her mother's bedroom. And everything, so he's just like, all right, well, you can just stay here, or you can tell me how you did it, and I can let you go. And then, well, he waited a little too long to spill the beans, so he was kind of left there, and Geralt figured out that he basically had to fight the Striga until dawn, from nighttime
till dawn. Which was, you know what, and I'll tell you this, there's no way we can do justice to this epic fight that they have, because it's dope. It's cool.
It uses everything. I mean, you see him chugging potions and using his sign magic, so it's just like all over the place.
Those like what is it, like those brass knuckle kind of things? That chain. I mean, he implements a lot of his you get to see a lot of his implementation of his tools and his tactics to fight somebody finally, like through a long thing. So it's really, really cool. And then after that, he winds up beating her by changing her back.
He didn't really beat her per se. I mean, no, it was he kind of locked her out of her crypt, which is where
she needed to go back.
She tries to go back into before dawn, before the sun rises, so that way she'll be fine. But by not letting her return to it, by sealing himself inside of it. She ends up turning back into a girl again.
And then she proceeds to bite him in the neck, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Right after that scene. And I thought that was really crazy because you see him like bleeding out of his mouth and stuff from that. Like you just see all the damage, all the toll that he took right there at that last moment before he passes out. And then when he wakes back up, Triss Marigold right there. Trying to like heal him back up. And then he just kind of gets up and he's like, kind of like, I'm over this shit. And she even goes to say like, oh, I'm so impressed that you saved this girl instead of just letting her die.
Yeah.
You could have killed her and known the easy way out, but instead you saved her and you brought her back. Even though when you see her, she looks all wild because obviously she's been a Striga for all her life almost.
Yeah, pretty much.
So she's more like a feral than anything. But
yeah,
and then you wind up at the end of the scene with Siri and the elf boy in a forest, and she hears voices, and she almost like in a trance starts to walk into the forest, and that kind of ends your episode. Now, out of all 3 episodes so far, I really like this episode with the action. It was really cool. Him fighting the Striga, you're really seeing him do his like going through his motions of work, figuring things out. You can see him, how methodical he is when he thinks about stuff. I really did enjoy it. I really did, it's really progressing his storyline.
yeah.
And then with Yennefer, obviously now you see the change. Now you see Yennefer that we know in the video games, and that we've seen in other stuff. That's the Yennefer we know, and it just seems like we're about to hit her full stride. Like you're about to see her full on coming out where you want to see her. What did you think of this episode?
I thought it was great, especially in regards to Geralt and Yennefer's storylines, because it kind of, well, for Yennefer, it transforms her into the Yennefer that we all know, and she becomes the beautiful, cold-hearted sorceress or whatever that uses everyone's as pawns as much as she can.
Yeah.
And then Geralt, it shows while he's a badass against like humans or whatever, when fighting like the super powerful monsters like Strigas and everything, it takes a lot of preparation, and he uses multiple tools, multiple signs and strategies, and all different kinds of equipment on top. And plus, he's not even trying to kill her. He's just trying to keep her out of the crypt until dawn. Yeah, so that way he can reverse the curse.
Exactly. And it really shows how much it almost seems like for him, monster, human, it makes no difference. Like it's just another person to save, another thing to help out.
Yep.
And that's really cool.
Now, the only downside on this episode is there wasn't anything new with Ciri other than like really right at the smack dab at the end of the episode, which was only just a couple minutes where, they're waking up in the forest that's covered in snow, and then they walk into the magical forest, and it's just where the episode ends.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was really short for her, but I know it picks up come a couple episodes from now. Her story really picks up, keeps driving forward. But, well... this was a recap on episode 3. Is there anything else you want to add, Kendall?
Nope, that's about it. Yeah, I mean, it was mostly Geralt and Yennefer's time to shine on this episode.
Oh yeah, most definitely. We do get to see them shine. And the nice thing is we're starting to get to the progression of they're going to meet themselves soon, and we're going to get into that exciting story where now their stories combine and they intermingle with each other, and it starts to get really good. I'm telling you guys, if you guys haven't seen it, if you guys are keeping up with us watching this, you're about to start getting into some good stuff, some really, really enjoyable things. But well, these are always shorter than our Distant Chips podcast. If you guys want to listen to tech, you guys can go check us out there. We're that one. We're normally doing about an hour. These are about maybe half hour, 20 minutes. And with that, we really appreciate everybody that listens and everybody that follows us. Check out Kendall on his Twitch channel. Kendall, what's your Twitch channel?
Twitch.tv/Esper6476.
He just made an affiliate yesterday, and he streamed today. It was a really good stream. I check it all the time. You guys should too. And with that, we thank you guys, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday for Distant Chips, and next Friday for Cringe or Binge. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, everyone. Take it easy. Have a great night.
Later, everybody.